The year is 1988, and this is Claudette sitting at her student desk in her flat in Paris. She's sharing a flat with a girl she met in the country, Mirabelle. And Mirabelle hasn't been making her contribution to the rent. A month's rent's due, so Claudette, her friend, has given her the ultimatum. Unless she can pay her share of the rent, she's going to have to be out on her ear. She said, we don't mess around with the rent here, and they'll fine you if you don't pay on time. So Claudette has given her friend a ultimatum here. And she suggests to Mirabelle, her excitable friend, that she books an appointment with an agent or dealer and show her portfolio and be prepared to sell one of her paintings. Mirabelle is very sensitive and she finds it difficult to accept it. She may have to sell, part with one of her paintings, which needs must. She has to pay the rent. But Claudette has also said to Mirabelle that Mirabelle talks too much. Mirabelle is the kind of girl who verbalizes all her thoughts. She doesn't give you an edited view of what she's thinking. As she thinks, she speaks. And you get all her thoughts unedited in a continuous stream. So Claudette, in a good-natured way, has said to her friend, and just another thing, apart from not pulling your way with the rent, I think you need to stop talking as much, because it's almost constant. So Mirabelle's really upset about this. She's an emotional type of person, very demonstrative. So she goes in a huff. She easily goes in huffs, Mirabelle, almost instantly for any reason. So she says to Claudette, well, if you think that way, then I'm not going to speak for 48 hours at all. I won't utter a word, not even make a sound. And Claudette, the sophisticated Parisian, thinks it's a bit funny. Mirabelle is a country girl and a bit naive. So, but what happens is the phone goes with an offer of an appointment at an art dealer, art gallery, for Mirabelle to show the dealer her portfolio and bring along a painting as well, hoping to sell it to the dealer. And but she can't answer the phone or speak on it because she's made a vow of silence. So Claudette takes the call and carries on speaking, says yes, Mirabelle will be there tomorrow at 2 o'clock. And then Claudette puts the phone down and says to her friend, it was just that silly thing about you not speaking. You don't need to continue that into tomorrow, because you're allowed to speak because it's important, so you can sell a painting and pay the rent. No, says Mirabelle, I've made a promise and I won't go back on my promises. She's very high-minded and moral. Therefore, I will not speak as I promised for the next 48 hours. So they make a deal that Mirabelle turns up at the art gallery but pretends she's a deaf mute and just has a portfolio and her paintings, but just nods her head and looks but doesn't say anything. Meanwhile, Claudette is hanging around as if she's just a normal browser, but in actual fact she's working in league with Mirabelle, her friend, and looking after her. So the scenario is about how the dealer handles Mirabelle and why Mirabelle is not saying anything. But because she's not actually saying anything, this forces the dealer to talk a mile a minute. He never stops talking, and he thinks that she's driving a very hard bargain. At one point he says, "Look, sorry, but I need to interrupt you. You've got to stop talking," but she hasn't said a word yet. It's just a perception of the dealer, and it's how the dealer reacts to the fact that Mirabelle is not saying anything at all about her art, and he's trying to drive some type of bargain, but he thinks she's quite ruthless in her negotiation skills when she's not saying anything at all. Meanwhile, Claudette's standing at the edge, listening in, making sure to get a deal for the painting. So it's a bit of the scene is the final scene in the story about new friends. The first scene was when they met at a farm in the country in the summer the year before, maybe 6 months before.